Hi, everybody. It is a gloomy, rainy, snowy Sunday. I'm just up in my office and I was going to make a tag video. And I was thinking I would do like the annoyed tag video. And I have to be honest, I don't really get annoyed by very many things regarding books, reading, publishers, anything like that. Like I just don't find that many things annoying. And so I thought it would not be a very interesting video if I read the tag and then read the questions and was like, oh, nothing. I mean, things annoy me, but not really that have to do so much with books and reading. My screen going blank though, I find annoying because I need to be able to see, because I couldn't find a book tag that I wanted to do, so I decided I would write one and include 10 questions that I would love some people to answer because they interest me. So yeah, I don't know if that's like super like self-focused, but I just thought it would be fun. I would write 10 questions. I'm going to answer them. And then hopefully, if you're watching this, you will answer them. And if you answer them, tag me in your video. I don't know what to call it. I was going to call it like 5-second answers, but then I thought people would think they would have to answer in 5 seconds instead of like just thinking about it. Right now, it's kind of titled What Pops Into Your Head book tag. So that's how I would love people to answer the questions. Just what pops into your head when you hear the question. Like, don't think about it too much. Now, obviously, I know what the questions are, but my answers that I'm going to give really aren't any different from what I would give if I was just doing this off the top of my head. Off the top of my head booktube tag. I think that's what I'll call it. Anyway, I have to go back to the annoying thing really quick because I was just about to do this and I was like, Gina, no, you find that annoying. The one thing I find annoying that some YouTubers do, not just booktubers, but YouTubers in general. I apologize in advance if this also annoys you, but I'm going to do a demonstration. That's really annoying. I think it's the noise. It's the sounds. Like, just, I'm sorry. It's just really annoying to hear drinking and yeah. So I promise I will not do that. If I do that, you can call me out on it. I will pause to drink my coffee. Anyway, let's jump into my what pops into your head book tag. So the first question is, what was my favorite picture book as a child? I had a million picture books that I loved because my parents bought, I think, every golden book that was ever written. It was on my shelf. When I think about going to the library and picking out books, once I was 4 or 5, my parents would take me to the library every week. And the one book that I just adored is this book. It's the Lonely Doll series by Wright. And I loved it because she had little dolls that were photographed for all of the illustrations. And I just remember like just staring at these little pictures because they were so cute. And I wanted that doll. So there's lots of Lonely Doll books. I mean, this one stands out to me. It was the original one, but they also have like Edith and Mr. Bear, Edith and Midnight, A Gift from the Lonely Doll. So all so cute. and all done in the same way. Just these little dolls that were photographed to go along with the story. Definitely like top pick of my favorite picture book as a child. Okay, next question is, what series did you love as a child? Most people who are readers now are readers or were readers when they were children. I was no exception. While I love Little House on the Prairie series, I think my very favorite that I came back to over and over and over again is this series, All of a Kind Family by Sydney Taylor. Just the sweetest family-oriented series. Basically told the story of a Jewish family that lived in New York City. They have 5 little girls and a little boy, and it's just their daily life. Nothing super exciting, just their daily life. And I loved the characters in this book. And I think part of it is that my grandmother was one of 5 girls and a boy, 2. And so I always pictured, right around the turn of the century, I always pictured her when I read this. She wasn't Jewish, but when I read this book, it's what I thought of. And my sister actually wrote to the author. She had passed away, though, but her husband answered. I believe his name was Ralph. And he answered her a couple of times, which I thought was really cool. You know, back in the day when we had to write authors as part of our writing class. So yes, if you have never read this series, it's so sweet. Just try it. All the Kind Family series by Sydney Taylor. Okay, number 3, I would love to know, what do you consider the worst book that you have read or tried to read? It takes me no time to think about this book. I disliked this book with a passion. I really struggled to read the parts that I read. I pretended to read it. It was for a class in high school, and it was Moby Dick. If you read it and loved it, what did you love about it? Because I could not read this book. It was just torturous to get through it. I don't think I would change my mind reading it as an adult. I really have no desire to even try. So, anybody else not a fan of Moby Dick? But that was the worst book, or the book that I disliked the most. I can't say it was the worst. It was the book I disliked the most ever. The next question is, what is your favorite reading memory or book memory? I think my favorite memory is just going to this huge library. It was a very, very old library where I lived. I grew up in Erie, Pennsylvania, and the library there was so old, and it had just this majestic staircase, and it smelled like old books, and I loved going to the library. You know, I remember going downstairs to the children's room, and the steps were huge, just huge old steps, and just, you know, going downstairs with my sister and picking out, we always were allowed to get like 5 or 6 books, and just being at the library, that library, I love old libraries, and that library was iconic, and it's no longer a library. I believe it's maybe offices now. It might be like city offices now, and they built a brand new giant library, but you know, it's just not the same. Okay, the next question is, what is a book that you also loved as a movie? And you know, that's hard because sometimes you just love the book and you hate the movie version of it. And this one popped into my head probably because I taught 3rd and 4th grade for so many years. This is one of my favorite of all-time class read-alouds. The kids always loved it. I loved it. And when we were done reading it, we would watch the movie and then we would compare. And it is Because of Winn-Dixie by Kate DiCamillo. Such a lovely book. The dog does not die at the end. I always, if there's an animal in the story, I always give myself a spoiler and I look up to see if the dog dies at the end, and the dog does not. And it basically is about a little girl, a very lonely little girl who moves to a new town with her dad. Her mom has left them, and he is a preacher. She finds this dog in the grocery store, hence his name, Winn-Dixie. And it's how this dog kind of helps her become part of the community. You know, he bridges that gap between her and all of the unique people that she meets and becomes friends with in the course of the book. And yeah, just a wonderful, and it is a great mid-grade March book. If you need a recommendation, pick this book up. You will not be sorry. And then watch the movie. It has Dakota Fanning in it, and it's such a cute little sweet movie. Love it. Okay, next question is, what is a book that you wish they would make into a movie? Now, I know some people are like, no, just don't do it. Don't make a movie out of this book. But if they did it well, if they really stayed true to the book, and it was the best version of a movie made from a book that you could get, what book would you pick? Mine would be, I just loved this book. It is a novel called Elinor, Oliphant is Completely Fine. It is written by Gail Honeyman, and it was a New York Times bestseller. I really connected with Elinor. You know, she's very socially inept, very much an introvert. She's anxiety-ridden. And I just love the connections that she makes with people in this book. The ending was very interesting to me, but I would love to see it as a movie. I definitely would watch it, and yeah, I would definitely recommend the book. It is a wonderful book. Okay, the next one is, what is a book character that you would like as a friend? I always thought Jo March from Little Women would be a really good friend. We both like to write, and she's definitely more outgoing than me, so I wouldn't have to talk too much if I hung out with her. She's creative and funny. And I think she would be a loyal friend. So yeah, my pick would be Jo March from Little Women. How about all of you? Who would you pick to be a friend? And a place that you would want to visit because of a book you read. So a place that I would like to visit because of a book I read would be Prince Edward Island. Obviously because of Anne of Green Gables. Prince Edward Island just seems so picturesque with the description in her books. Obviously watching the show, so many different series have been made with Anne of Green Gables, and the scenery that's filmed in Prince Edward Island is beautiful. I would love to go there. I'm trying to think of anywhere else. I did read a book called The Outer Banks many years ago. I liked it. It was a very kind of fluffy read. And afterward, I was like, I have to get to the Outer Banks. And I did. I have made it to the Outer Banks. It's my favorite place to go. But yeah, next on the list I think would be Prince Edward Island. Okay, the next question is, what is a nonfiction book that you would recommend somebody to read? This is mine, Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. I love her. I first heard about Brene Brown when I saw one of her TED Talks on Netflix, and I watched it. And she talked about foreboding joy. That's basically when something is great, something great is happening, something lovely is happening, and the only thing you can do is think about, well, I really shouldn't enjoy this very much because this might happen or this might happen. And I realized that I fall into that trap all the time. Like, don't expect anything happy to happen, and then you won't be disappointed. And that made such a connection to me. I went and got the book Daring Greatly. It's how the courage to be vulnerable transforms the way we live, love, parent, and lead. Excellent, excellent. And if you can find her talk, I guess it's not a TED Talk. It's a talk, a film of a talk that she did. It's on Netflix. I can't remember the name of it, but this is just an excellent, excellent nonfiction book. Definitely highly recommended to everybody. If you could pick an author to hang out with for the day, who would you pick and why? So the very first person I thought of off the top of my head, well, I thought of two. One is Elin Hildebrand. So I love Elin Hildebrand books because they are all very summary reads. I like nothing better than books that are written about women who live by the ocean, who live in small towns, and her books kind of encompass all of that. She writes a lot. Well, all of her books take place in Nantucket, which is where she lives. So I would love to hang out with her. Plus, I follow her on Instagram, and she seems really fun and very cool. And I would love to just hang out in Nantucket with her and just spend the day. She seems like she would be a lot of fun. Plus, I would love to go to Nantucket. And the other person, one of my favorite authors of all time, because I love her whole set of books. I love what she has written. There are some authors that I love a book or two, but I don't love everything they've written. Kind of like music. Like, I don't have favorite albums because most of the time I like a song or two from a band, but I don't like most everything they do. And so I find that difficult. I love the Avett Brothers though. But anyway, I love Elizabeth Berg. She has written Homecoming, just A Year of Pleasures. That was one of my favorite books of all time. And I followed her on Instagram or Facebook. She's quite a bit older than me, but I think I would love to just like walk around with her and chat with her. She seems very sweet and very kind. And if you haven't read A Year of Pleasures, it's a very, very good book, and it's written by Elizabeth Berg. So anyway, there you have it. My 10 What Pops Into Your Head booktube tag. I hope you enjoyed it, and it's just a nice way to get to know, the booktubers, and that's what I like to watch. I like to watch Get to Know You, and book recommendations too. I will list the books that I talked about down below in the description box, since I didn't hold up the book cover for all of them. And enjoy your Sunday. I'm going to drink my coffee, and I will see you on the next video. Happy reading!